turned.
I'm being informed that journalists like having fun. Isn't that so? Isn't that so? So we are gonna do a small exercise. Let's all stand if you can. And I'm gonna share a story. I hope the story will be in line with the journalists' rules and regulations. So let's do this first on our left hand. Our left hand like this. And then our right hand. Or I'm being informed that some of those things have been done severally, but we are going to repeat in a more creative manner. So ensure wherever you are, you can move around. Ensure wherever you are, you can move around. And you're comfortable. Even some of us can even come this side. There's a very big space here. There's a very big space here. Wale ambao hawajakuja mbele pia, kujeni mbele hata muonekane kwa TV bana. Bana, mnataka tu kukaa nyuma. Huko naona kuna space. Yeah, I would like us to make a very nice circle. So some of us come in front. Wenzetu wetu tukuje mbele pia tukuje mbele. Okay. Wale ambao wamekaa kwa kiti itabidi umesonga nyuma ya kiti Because it's an exercise about jumping. So you have to, it is about jumping. Are we ready? Are we ready? So if I say jump right, you jump right. Sindio? You just jump right like this. Okay? So jump right again, jump left, jump front, back. Now, we are going to do the opposite. If I say jump right, you jump. And if I say jump front, you jump. Let's try. At least hiyo chakula tumekula iteremke kidogo, okay? So, jump right. What's happening, man? What's happening? What did I say? You are doing the opposite, okay? Yani right yako ni hii ndio right, si ndio? And this is your. So if I say jump right, you jump left, okay? Okay. Jump right. Unaenda wapi? Okay. Jump right once again. Jump front. Jump front, back, front, right, left. Thank you very much. You can be seated.
Haya, tumpigie makofi kwake. At least tumeona wale wa mguu ya left today have been favored. Wale watu waliambiwa wa shake kenye wako nayo juu wako na miguu mbili za left. At least wakiambiwa left wameweza kumove your left. So we'll go straight into our session for this afternoon. And this is just a build-up of the session we had with Margaret from Shofco. And we'll be hearing on matters sexual harassment. These are very critical conversations that we need to have in our newsrooms. Yes, tuna report, but pia tukireport cases za watu kwa community za sexual harassment, NGBV, pia zina happen ndani yetu. So we want to know, before tuende tusaidie wale wengine huko nje. before we do that outside, what are we doing inside here? So in this session, kuna mwanadada hapa ambaye jana alikuja akaniambia watu ambao wanaitwa Suzana ni watu warembo sana na wana akili sana. Mashallah. Mambo ya Mungu hayo. Sio mimi nilisema, ni alisema. Alikuwepo. Na hapo. Alikuwa hapo. So we have an amazing lady ambaye ako na sauti yake ya kipekee who will be moderating this session with other amazing and beautiful ladies in the panel. So DJ, very nice. Let's give it up for Susan Mbotse, who's the moderator for this session. Suzana, karibu. Wapi makofi ya Suzana?
I hope you're happy now. I see you flexing on the ground when you fall.
Ule mzungu wake ndo huyo. Karibu sana.
Wow, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the love. Mumeshiba, si ndio? Good afternoon. Hamjambo. Mimi naitwa Susan Mbotse, and I work with CFFM Marsabit, na mimi ni mtu wa Coast. Ndio maanake mmeona hizo moves ni za Coast. So we are going to have an interactive session, very interesting, about sexual harassment. Kama vile Suzana mwenzangu alivyozungumza, amesema before tushughulikie watu wengine, tunafaa tujishughulikie. Sasa ile umeenda pale, alafu bosi anakuambia nipe ndo nikupatie kazi. Fungua kitabu, nisome, alafu nikupatie nini? Ama namna gani? Yes, so that is what we are going to talk about. Na bila kupoteza wakati, kuna watu ambao nitakuwa nawaalika hapa ili waweze kufanikisha hii conversation na mimi. Kiwemo Yusra Mohamed from she's a lawyer from FIDA. Can you clap for her, please? Karibu sana, Yusra. Thank you, Susan. Thank you. And we have Kui Mungweru, Director, People's and Organizational Development. Kindly please clap. Ni wanadada. Alafu rangi ya tenga sisi wote. Ama namna gani? Karibuni sana. So guys, kuna maswali kidogo tu ambayo nitawaengage, ama kuna vitu kidogo tu tutazungumza na wao, but I want to hear from you guys kwa sababu nyinyi mnapitia. Don't shy off. Hizi vitu tunapitia ama hatupitii. And it's not only for the men, hata wanawake. Ama si wanawake peke yake, hata wanaume pia tunapitia hii hali. So nataka kila mtu ikiwezekana, at least for the shortest time, tuweze kuzungumza kwa pamoja, jifunue, jitanue, zungumza. Yes, it's part of healing. Si ndio? Kuna sexual harassment nyingine. Nione nyuma ya tenti. Nitakushughulikia. Okay, are we ready, guys? So we will go forward na tutaanza kuzungumzia haya maswala. Karibuni sana. Who is the other mic? Sorry, Susanna, kindly please pass the mic to them. Na I'll start with Kui. Kindly please say hi first.
Hello. Na Swahili niseme
Hamujambo.
hamjambo. Kama ni kwetu ningesema muriega. Wake hawa.
Okay, to you,
Okay.
what are some of the sexual harassments that are mostly experienced within Kenyan's newsroom?
All right, thank you very much. I think this is the most sensitive topic we can have, because if we don't talk about these issues drive in shame. and we get shameful to talk about them. So some of the sexual, I can say, biasness that come, one is use of jokes and innuendos. Hausemi lakini unasema. Uncomfortable jokes, Hilda amesema. And also maybe comments that are supposed, that are very gender biased. Amereact hivyo juu ananyesha. Ananyesha lakini. Sawa sawa. Maybe other jokes for, those are ladies, but even gentlemen, you know, they won't be talking about them. But if, let's say, a junior, an intern, a boy comes to our studio, I am winking. Simwongeleshi lakini namwongelesha. If a story is biased, hatuwezi patia hii story wanawake, wacha wanaume wakafanye. If, let's say, something has been experienced in the office, then you see that they're being wanatengwa, as you can say, because of something that has happened. Those are some of the things I can say. But I can also say, even going to the field, you meet with politicians, you meet with sources, sometimes it can get physical. I can mention those for now.
Okay, how do you think this has gone, how far has it gone when it comes to sexual harassment?
All right, I can say the culture of a station determines how things are going on. If I come as an intern to a station and I find that if anything happens, people are quiet, it means that thing is very deep-rooted, nothing goes on. If in an organization, sexual harassment, Wakikuyu hello, harassment, there's a lot of, it's being talked about often. When the conversation is happening, these things come out and you find that it's not as deep-rooted as when things are just silent. And also I would say this, the people who are ahead of us, the people who are our managers, the people who are our editors, the directors, however they deal with an issue will determine how toxic that situation is going to be, how toxic that office is going to be, how open people are going to be to talk about these issues. Yes.
You say that at some point, this thing has really spread to an extent that women, especially women,
Yes.
most of them, they're in fear.
Yeah.
When I go to my manager and speak about it, how would
Discrimination.
Yes. So, onto that, interns and women journalists.
Yes.
What do you think they hesitate to report these incidents?
One, I would say the biggest fear you have is your job. You've just joined an organization, maybe umetamak forever. You've joined an organization, you're wondering what is going to happen. You don't want to lose this job. That would be the one thing I'm going to say. The second thing, you don't want to be discriminated or to be seen as if you are difficult to deal with. You know, and it happens even in schools, the minute you start reporting on something, the first reaction is normally you're very difficult to deal with. You're going to be given, you don't want to be discriminated against assignments. You're being given some, you're not being given some. So you find that people don't want to report these. You come into an institution, maybe you do the first reporting or you say something to your manager. The way it's reacted, the way things go after that will determine whether you're ever going to report again or you're ever going to talk about it again. And I'm going to say this. These cases, you find that maybe in newsrooms or where we work, the higher you go, the less ladies come. We were having this discussion in the morning and it was said here. Women tend to shy away when you know that the matter is not being handled as the matter that you've reported. We are going to dig into deeper. Hata ndo wanda waliachana na yule boyfriend wake. Unaona venye anakuanga. Or other matters are being brought about. So you find it difficult to go report these. You still want your job. We know the way the job market is looking nowadays. You talk to your mentors. The first thing anakwambia, unajua mwanamke ni kuvumilia na kujikaza. So such terms, if we're having these conversations more often, we would reduce and even maybe open ourselves to what answers we can have, how we can be able to solve this.
Thank you so much. To you, Yusra, as a lawyer, you've heard Kui has said that most of the time, people or journalists who go through sexual harassment, they fear to report because of maybe being embarrassed, at some point, some of them feel like they lose their job. As feeder,
Yes.
what are the specific steps for reporting sexual harassment within a media organization, and as outlined in the policy?
Okay, actually, all that is. I'm sorry, I'm going to mention some sections because I feel like it won't make sense until I mention some sections. So, Section 6 of the Employment Act gives a guideline on how we're going to formulate a sexual harassment policy. So, in there, it includes what is to be defined as a sexual harassment, something to fit in that particular category. You have to have the reporting mechanisms, the days, the procedure. You have to have it all in a detailed sense. So it should. It depends on every organization, but from the act that gives the guidelines, it says that you have to define it first, and then you have to put your documents ready. See, you have to document everything. Those instances, today I passed and this person complimented, talked about my dressing. This person talked about, touched me inappropriately. So you have to have all those detailed. And if you have witnesses, you should have like testimonies and stuff. And then after that, you can do a formal complaint attaching those complaints. We don't want a scenario whereby you go and report and you're told, oh, actually, this is not backed up by evidence. So it's very good to go prepared so that you do not have to go through elongated sexual harassment, a long period of that. So just go prepared, have all your documents, and after that, when in the policy, it says that you should have a person who has been designated for that particular job receiving complaints. So after they receive the complaints, they're supposed to start the investigations immediately, promptly, so that there's no a continuation of the same. Because, after that you'll have issues of victim blaming, and that can make a person shy away from pursuing that particular case. That is why now if a person is to be suspended, they're going to be suspended immediately. If they're to be taken on probation, they'll be taken to probation immediately, so that we do not give room for that. And then after that, they're supposed to hear both sides, definitely, and then reach a conclusion. And it has to be announced as well, so that the office can also be aware.
Okay, you are talking of evidence, eh?
Yes.
What if nimeshikwa shikwa?
From the pieces of evidence that are admissible, you see, for sexual harassment cases, we don't need much, because a person is not going to sexually harass you in a public place. So we understand that. Even for defilement cases, we just take the testimony of the child in the medical report. See, we don't go into much, because someone is not going to sexually harass you in the open. So for that, even your personal testimony is going to suffice as evidence, as long as it's maybe backed up by some medical. Yeah, so that we don't have a scenario whereby you're just saying something to put someone in trouble. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to you, Kui. How do power imbalances between senior editors and junior contribute to harassment in the newsroom?
Right. Anytime there is a power dynamic, we're going to, of course, have the people who are above you and the people who are below you. The one thing is boundaries. Boundaries. If we have proper set boundaries, proper communicated boundaries, we are going to reduce cases where people are not able to define if this is an advancement that you don't want or it's not. Boundaries. And boundaries without a consequence is just a suggestion. So having a lot of maybe trainings in your organization will talk into that power dynamics, because they're going to be there. For sure, there has to be a boss, there has to be an editor, there has to be someone in the field. But how we are communicating, how we are relating, how the culture of the office is going to determine how we are going to all relate, especially matters sexual harassment.
But in most local media stations or grassroots media stations, you see like there's some scarcity of staffs.
Yes.
Maybe there are few.
Yeah.
And you find like people are like 5, 6. Wewe ndo unaenda field, wewe ndo unafanya kipindi, wewe ndo bosi, wewe ndo kila kitu.
Yes.
Sasa hii yote itafanyika vipi? Kwa sababu unajua kuna ule muingiliano wenye unaingia. Mara uko kwa ofisi ya bosi, wewe umekalia kiti cha bosi.
Yeah.
Unanipata? Mara wewe ndo uko kwa newsroom. Ukizungumzia masuala ya mamlaka.
Yes.
Manake sidhani kama redio nyingi ziko na bosses, ziko na junior staffs, wote wako kwa pamoja. How will you handle this issue?
The issue is, even when I'm talking about bosses and editors and all that, what I'm saying is there are power dynamics everywhere. There is a boss everywhere. There is the station manager who doubles up as as a presenter, but we know who we report to. Then we have people. What I'm saying is clear communications in the office, because a lot of these things can be solved by clear communications and guidelines and policies. So anytime we have someone new coming in, do they know the policy of the office? Are there a lot of, and this can be communicated even with a poster that says, this is a safe, no harassment zone. Policies are followed all the time. When we have the bosses, during orientation, because you don't come to any place and just start working. There has to be, and it does not have to be formal way. Orientation can be in any way how it's normally done in your office, but are these spoken about? There has to be a segment where it's clear, spoken about, that this is how we deal with sexual harassment, and this is also what constitutes sexual harassment. If someone says no, they've said no. If you're sending sexual jokes to the WhatsApp group of the office, that's equals to harassment. If, let's say, and also giving now the bosses at whatever power dynamic situation is, if you're able to communicate to your people, they will be able to communicate. Remember, it's a culture thing. If you can be able to break down that culture so that people know what is communication, what is wrong, and what is right. Because sometimes you find that, especially when you're on the same level, all of us, as you were saying in community radios, kuna mtu anapenda sana hug. Kila time akiingia kwa ofisi, lazima hug watu. Kuna mtu amesema yeye hapendi hug. Lakini you find that the person insists every time, but it's been communicated. So this, if we're able to have a communication through and through, and you can feel the energy of the people. Hii mambo ya hug ni kama watu wasemi sana, lakini iko kwa ofisi. But what I'm saying is, if there's proper communication, that the bosses have already indicated, if people say no, and unajua kuna mtu anapenda hiyo hug, ako sawa nayo, na ni vizuri. But if someone has communicated and they've said no, kindly respect the boundary.
Wow. Really interesting. At what point, Madam Yusra, if a person comes to your office maybe to report a case on sexual harassment, at what point do you people consider this is a sexual harassment? Kwa sababu mtu anaweza kuja kwa ofisi akaanza kujieleza, alafu ukaanza kuwei, je, hapa alikuwa ananyanyaswa ama ni yeye mwenyewe kutaka? Na je, muna kama lawyer, je, huwa mnapeana nafasi ya confidential counseling? Pengine kando, unajua kuna vitu vingine mtu hataki as in kwa public. Je, huwa mnatoa nafasi ya kufanya hivyo? Na mnafanya aje kama mtu pengine anataka private counseling, maybe after undergoing sexual harassment?
Okay, so I'd like to begin by saying sexual harassment in the workplace is mainly influenced na the power difference. The power difference between the power difference between the boss and the person. So it could be a sexual an unwelcome sexual message ama nini, so that one. But if it's also tied to favors, let's say for example a promotion or a demotion, fanya hivi nitakupatia an extra nini. So you as a desperate intern, let's say for example, and you're offered like we need to know that it's not only the staff. There's some very innocent children that pass through these media houses and they live changed. Okay, so whatever happens to a person, it affects them. Even if when you deal with a person who has been sexually assaulted, they're different. They're more conserved, or like they don't even want to be touched. Everything is just amounts to harassment to them, even just touching them. So you have to handle them differently. So yeah, do we offer confidential? Yes, we do, because as soon as you start working with FIDA, you sign a non-disclosure agreement and you sign a confidential agreement that you're not going to share any of that information anywhere. Yeah. And
do you provide a safer working environment for such a journalist? Maybe she has been sexual harassed and maybe she feels like she's not comfortable in that place. Do you do arrangement for him to or for her to get a safer place?
If it is, it depends with the partnerships that we have at the moment. You know, at times you could get a person who is, let's say, a journalist, yeah, and then maybe we usually meet with reporters and have a breakfast or every now and then. So in the event that there's a position for such a person, we'd be more than willing to link that person with the body or the office that is willing to hire.
Okay.
Yeah.
Back to you, Kui. Do most community media houses have clear anti-sexual harassment policies? If so, how effective are they implemented?
I think I would throw that question to the managers that are here. But I'll speak about RFM, where I come from. It's there. Why is it there? Because we've undergone trainings and it's written. And also when new people are coming in, if there's one thing that we take them during orientation, it is that. I may not speak for all the community radios here, but I know even capacities are limited. Because we are very juakali kind of setup.
Mahasla.
Yes, kind of setup. But these are some, as long as you're dealing with people, these are some of the things that you cannot afford not to have. You have to have some of these things. Because we keep saying that we are providing a safe and conducive working environment. Is it written? And you know, it's very simple. Because it's something you can come up with in your organization, in the team that you work with. And working with community radios, we've learned that you can also get resources from local lawyers who are going to give, if they're going to give you monetary value, they can give you that as a resource. So these are some of the things that you can come up with. And also, as you learned, you can bring in MCK to help train your journalists. We have Amweek really going out there to train journalists. So invest in these resources. I am sure it may not be there in all the community radios represented here, but what effort are they making to make sure that it is there? The policy is well written. You have reporting channels that are very clear. And I keep repeating this, and I'm going to repeat it again. It's a culture thing. Because the minute you get into an organization that does things a certain way, unaingianga hapo, especially if you are very junior. But since we have station managers here, we have editors here, what are they doing in their stations to make sure that some of these things are dealt with?
Sure. I think they'll have to answer that question. Station managers, kindly please prepare yourself. And as we wrap up, before we give the audience a chance to ask any question, to you, Yusra, can the media house be held legally accountable for failing to investigate my complaint or for enabling a culture of impunity?
Oh, yes, actually, because when we talk about the law, we say it prescribes, it mandates, we use the word shall. Shall is like you must. So if you breach the law, you are definitely going to be held accountable. Yeah. So not only that, you'll be negligence issues are going to come about, breach of statutory the statutory legal framework that is in place. So actually, you can even lose your licenses.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there, okay, maybe if after the case, maybe I've won the case, is there compensation that I might get from the company?
Yes, yes, it depends. You see, when you file a case, you get to decide what you want. Okay, you say your prayers. Your prayers is what would you like the court to award you. So if you want compensation, you'll be given compensation. If you want reinstatement, you'll be given reinstatement. If, let's say, they kept you on probation or you require some pay that you're not being paid at that particular time during the investigations, they can always pay. We also have different cases. We have the case of PO versus the Board of Trustees. In this particular case, they were awarded a compensation of 3.24 million Kenya shillings. So yes, you can get compensation, you can get reinstatement. You are just bound by your pleadings and how they are written.
Thank you so much. Back to you, audiences. How many of you tuwapigie makofi kwanza? Okay, so this is just a question. It's not a must. Kama una feel like you're not comfortable, achana nayo. But nauliza kuna? Journalist. By the way, journalist wanafunguka, si ndio? Tunasema vile iko. So nauliza, kati yetu kuna mtu mwenye pengine amewahi kupitia sexual harassment in the hallelujah. I love that. Sasa wewe wanyamaza hapa. Zungumza upone ndugu yangu, siku ni leo. My sister here. Mwingine tupate hata mwanamume, men in the house. Ni maswali? Haya, maswali nitapeana, lakini hakuna mwanamume mwenye amepitia sexual. Basi sunyoshe mkono hata oh, we have one there. Thank you. Haya, sasa okay, tusikizane kwa dakika 1.5 kila mtu. Umpatia tueleze ni kitu gani alipitia na ilimuaffect aje. Alafu upatie yule mwanamume. Ni vizuri pia tufahamu kwamba wanaume wanapitia, kwa sababu wengi wetu tunahisi it's only ladies, lakini kuna wanaume pia wanapitia hivi. My sister, continue.
Hamjambo. Okay, najua sio kitu rahisi sana ya kuzungumzia, but it's the first time I'm speaking. Nimeattend a lot of sexual harassment spaces. When I joined media as a student, nilikuwa bado mchanga sana, just from school. I went to a local radio, stataja jina, lakini nilipofika, wao unapewa nafasi, unajua radio ni sauti. Nikapewa nafasi kwenda kwa producer wa kiume. And the first thing niliambiwa, dada, una sauti ya kitanda. True story. The man insisted I have a bedroom voice. Mnaona ni uongo. And that was the first time now I'm experiencing such a statement. I was young. I didn't know that that statement could mean a lot. Thank God I was self-aware at a young age. So sikukubali kwamba that was my point. But it's true, such a statement ilinifanya nilitoka attachment miezi 3 bila demo. Ile kusema ni kwa attachment mahali, kwa sababu with radio, you know, you go somewhere, you'll be told, give us your clip. I didn't have any clip because the man only claimed my voice was not for the station, but somewhere else. Some ladies were victims. I can attest to that. Kuna dada ambao safari yao ya wanahabari ilishia hapo. Hadi wa leo wajaendelea katika safari yao, but nashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu mimi niko hapa kwa sababu nilikuwa na stand that no, that is not what I wanted to do. The region I come from, we have a lot of community radio stations or local radio stations. In fact, it has so many media houses. But tukienda uwanjani sasa hivi wanadada hawapo. Ladies are not in the field. Not like they're lazy, not that they cannot do, not that they have no potential, but the reality on the ground is that if you're a woman, they see you like, huyu aspo peana hana opportunity ama hana chance. Our local media houses have no policies. I can say it. Tukawaita hapa media managers tuulize basi mko na policy gani kuhusiana na sexual harassment? Haipo. So you can imagine how many ladies during my time and even wengine bado media house zipo, wangapi walikatiziwa safari, wakakatiziwa their opportunities just because of men. Perpetrators might be in this room. They might be here too. Yes, they might be here too. So naomba sana, if we're talking about even community media kuendelea, then lazima tukue na utu. Najua pia wanaume wanakuwa harassed, but a high percentage are ladies. From my story, what helped me in the process was that nilianza communicate. I love speaking out. So nikaambia mtu, when someone tells you this, how do you react towards it? And then joining associations zinakusaidia kama Amweek and others, it becomes a safe space. Okay. So that was my experience. Msiniangalie vibaya, sauti yangu ni ya radio, si ya kitanda.
Na leo umenifanya nikajua kuna sauti ya radio, ya kitanda, ya sitting room na ya hapa nje. My brother from the other end. Nyosha mkono.
Kuna mwanadada hapo amesema hataki kushare yake juu bado hajapona tayari.
Okay, pole. Sorry. Yes, continue.
Asante. Na ningependa kushare vitu ambavyo si kwangu lakini vimepitiwa kwa colleague.
Sawa, dakika 1.5.
Asante. Tunafanya kazi mbali na kituo.
Naam.
So kuna kolegi ambaye anabeba mwanamke ambaye tunafanya kazi pamoja ambaye pia ni volunteer. So it happen yule mwanamke akakosa fahamu akiwa yuko juu ya pikipiki.
Allah.
Akaanguka, akaumia kichwa, akaumia goti, akavunjika meno, akakosa fahamu. Hakuna jinsi wangefanya, walikuwa wawili. So walikuwa ni bana watatu. Mwanamume mmoja anapeleka, mwanamume mmoja ako mbele, mwanamke yuko nyuma. So wakambeba akampeleka polisi. Wazazi wake imagine akaenda kuchukua P3. Kwamba mwanamke wao kuna kitu amefanywa. Na sasa hakuna mtu ameona mwingine, ni hao boys wawili ambao wanafanya nao kazi. Mwanamke yule akapelekwa mpaka Malindi, akapata fahamu akiwa yuko Malindi General Hospital. Imagine walikuwa wanasubiri wale wanaume watoke Malindi, sababu walipeleka pia Malindi na ambulance, waende Gariseni ndo watiwe seli, kwa sababu hiyo issue babake ameripoti. Lakini yule mwanamke ndiye amewaokoa kwamba hakuna mtu amechangia, nimekosa fahamu mwenyewe. So nimezungumza hivi kwa sababu kuna haja ya kutathmini sana katika mambo haya ya GBV. Kwa sababu mtu anaweza kujipata ni pabaya kwa sababu mtu amesema, lakini kumbe sivyo hali halisi. Lakini nitauliza swali mawili. Swali la kwanza, hapa nimezingirwa na wanawake wawili. Kuna mmoja hapa kutoka pamoja girls, kuna mmoja hapo wa Beyond, niko nao. Sasa kuna vile ambavyo watu wakifanya kazi pamoja kwa mahali moja, kuna vile huwa wanazoeana, yani ile wanaingiliana. So kuna vile kuna yale maneno ambayo wanaambiana ya kimatani. Swali, je, GBV hiyo moja? Swali la pili nauliza, huende ikawa katika hawa kuna mmoja katika ile studio ama katika ile station imefall naye love ya kumwoa. Huwa ni vipi? Asante.
Haya. Asante sana ndugu yangu. Mapenzi hata kwenye newsroom yanaonekana.
Wacha leo tusikize kwa wanaume sana sana.
Aha. Sasa tumefikiwa sasa. Mwenye uwanja wake kafika. Siku za 40 ni mwizi. Heti siku za 40. Anyway. Amezungumzia jambo ambalo bila shaka nataka kuuliza ikiwa kama ni swali na pia as an experience, kwa sababu unajua mazoea washasema. Wakati mwingi huwa tunafanya kazi sisi kama vidume, na ndio swali ambayo itakuja kwa sababu nimesikiliza bibie jina limenitoka kidogo, ametoka kwenye legal part of it. Yusra. Nauliza hivi, nafasi ya sisi wanahabari wa kiume katika kusuluhishiwa shida za changamoto za sexual harassment iko wapi? Kwa sababu kwa mara nyingi utasikiliza stories za kina dada, sisi wenzetu unapitia shida ndio. Vile ambavyo amesema mzee wangu hapa kwamba mazoea, tumekaa na wao kwenye, unakuta kwamba labda madam anakuja na kushikia hivi. Unaona Sasa mwenzangu hapa sema kwamba pengine wewe anaweza sema wewe endelea tu kunishikilia, lakini kuna vile ambavyo mimi binafsi nahisi hii it is beyond what I can take in. Lakini sasa jueni mwanaume wakati mwingine huwa ni vigumu kusema kwa sababu utaona kwamba wengine watanichukuliaje vile. Ushaona mambo kama hayo tunaweza tukasuluhisha namna gani, kwa sababu we are talking so much, I'm sorry to say, about
women.
Yes, and we are forgetting ourselves, so that ile confidence ya sisi wanaume itoke nje and we be neutral.
Asante sana my brother. Lakini Waswahili wanasema ukishikwa shikamana. Haya, kuna huko watu wamenyamaza sana tangia asubuhi.
Haya, wacha tuongee.
Wanaume hoye. Fungukeni mpone.
Mimi naitwa Mike Kuoba, na kuelezea tu ni kwamba wakati mwingine ni kama mazoea. Taaluma hii yetu ya wanahabari tunakuwa na matatizo kuanzia tukiwa pale katika chuo kikuu, hata katika shule. Mara nyingi tukielezea haswa wanadada, ukienda pale katika chuo kikuu, katika kitu ambacho unaambiwa ni kwamba lazima spread the bed ndio ufanye nini, upate kazi. Na kwa wengi waandishi wa habari taaluma yao huishia pale kitandani, kwa sababu anajua ili aweze kupanda ngazi atafanya nini, lazima aweze kufanya kile. Na hivyo pia utapata ukienda kazini, mara ya kwanza ukiambiwa kwamba lazima ufanye hivi, wengi huwa wanaangukia katika huo mtego. Na ndiposa tunahitaji kama sisi wanahabari tuanzie pale katika shule ambazo tunasomea, kwa sababu matatizo yanaanzia pale. Lecturer anakupa, anasema lazima ili upite mtihani lazima ufanye hivi. So wakati tunasonga na taaluma imekuwa saturated, unapata kwamba ukienda katika pale katika kituo utapata unahitajika. Na nasema hivi kwa sababu wakati ambapo tulikuwa katika chuo tukisoma, kuna wasichana ambao tulikuwa tunafanya nao na ni wazuri sana, wanafanya vizuri sana, hata uandishi wa habari ni mzuri, lakini wakienda katika kituo cha habari wanaambiwa kwamba lazima, na hivyo ndio career yao saa zingine inaisha. So tunahitaji kuanzia pale matatizo yanaanzia wapi, na tukifika tatizo kubwa ya tulianzia. So tunahitaji angalau tuone namna ambavyo tutabadilisha. Hasa sasa katika vyuo vyetu shule, tusonge katika taaluma zetu, tukienda katika newsroom, hiyo inahitajika. Mkubwa ukienda anahitaji. Alafu pia kuna ambao mara nyingi yeye ndiye atajipendekeza. Hiyo tusilaumu kwamba atajipendekeza ili ufedhe. So wakati wa kujipendekeza unajipata kwamba hicho kitendo kimefanyika. Je, tunahitaji kufunza watoto wetu, hasa wale ambao ni wanadada, ili waweze wasije wakiwa wanajivuta, ama kama ni wanaume wasije wakajivuta kwa bosi anasema sasa mimi nahitaji hivi. Labda sasa tunafanya vipi ili tuhakikishe kwamba tunaanzia pale chini?
Asante sana Mike. Naomba tujibu hayo maswali ndo wasichanganye, si ndio?
Before tujibu, ningependa tumpatie, kwa sababu kuna swali ilikuwa imerushwa kwa station managers.
Kuna swali
uzungumze alafu tupeane a minute.
Tulikuwa tumeuliza, huyo ni station manager? Wewe ni station manager? Yeah. On behalf of other station managers in the house, mko na policy ambayo ina guard your journalist akiwa sexual harassed? Mko na policy yoyote yenye mumeweka in place, ama ni upambane na hali yako?
So I believe there is a sexual policy in every station. Naamini hivyo because at RFM where I sit there is a sexual policy.
Takuja huko.
Document.
Siseme tu utakuja kuonyesha.
Iko. Just 30 seconds. Question number 1 to you, Koimogwero. You see, as my brother said, that one of the careers that is so sexualized is media. So where is the problem? And that's why you'll find that some people, they find that if you are journalists, lazima kiteneke. So what are we doing as community media outlets to ensure that we change this narrative that media is a sexualized career? Number 2, question to Akili. I heard you say that sometimes, even when there is no evidence, word of mouth is taken as evidence. And I'm shaken when I hear this because, and especially for men, I think this document, even the sexual policy document, the bill and the act, from where I sit as a boy child, is meant to bring down the boy child, especially when there is the sexual assault? I don't know the difference, because where there is penetration, maybe the lady can go to the hospital and, all those things are done and the medical are done. But when there is touch, holding, tapping, and spanking, how do the judge will make a decision that, yes, you're guilty and you deserve to be sentenced?
Moderator, please save me because this is your session.
Yes.
Na pia tuko nyuma ya time.
Maswali ni mengi. Maswali ni mengi sana.
ya West Pokot peke yake.
Haya, tusikize ya West Pokot alafu tujibu.
Mimi nina swali.
Nina
maswali mawili tu, ama sijui ni maelezo ama ni maswali. Lakini swali la kwanza ni hili. Mimi kama mwanahabari ninafanya na Kale Radio. Swali langu ni hili. Nimeingia ofisini asubuhi. Kisha baadaye dada anaingia. Ninampatia mkono, anasema hapana, sitaki mkono. Ni hug. Sivyo, mwenyewe ameitisha hug. Si ati kama mimi nimemwambia nipe hug, yeye ametaka hug. Mimi mtoto wa kiume. Sasa hilo litakuwa alafu swali la pili.
Tumsikize tafadhali, tumsikize.
Fida amesema kwamba wanashughulikia haya masuala zaidi. Lakini jamani, sijui mbona wanauoga kufika West Pokot. Ama sijui kwa nini wanaogopa West Pokot na Turkana, kaunti mbili. Kwa sababu West Pokot, nitapena mfano, kuna kituo kimoja ambacho sitasema jina. Kuna dada kwa mahali pale, alienda pale kuomba pale kazi. Lakini unipatie mechi, unipatie tikati ambayo nina prove. Na hicho ni kituo kimoja cha mafuta, si ya radio, cha mafuta.
Anataka friendly match. Haya, wacha wajibu maswali hayo. Muda umeenda kweli, sijui tutafanyaje, lakini wacha tu tuone vile itaenda. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go first. And as you've heard even the questions the way they're going, like Michael, when he was speaking, it's a conversation, it's a discussion. I will say this. Repeated advances after being told no, because for sure, that qualifies as harassment. You cannot say, nimemuuliza, and especially when there's a power dynamic. If I come in as an intern and my boss starts asking me out, whether it's genuine or it's not, when there's a power dynamic kind of situation, there is going to be an issue. An issue is going to arise. So as much as we can ask for love to flourish where we work, cases where we have power dynamics, we are always going to have an issue. Because the person, ask yourself, is the person saying yes or no because of what is going to happen after? Nitasema no nifutwe kazi, nitasema no nikose kupromotiwa. So especially when there's power dynamics, you have to be very, very careful. What about if these things happened outside the office now? Or you wait for the person, if you really like them very much, to get some form of footing in that office. The other thing I'm going to say, and I'm repeating something I said, but now very clearly, shame thrives where there is secrecy. Shame thrives where there is secrecy. If we allowed ourselves, because I'm sure we normally have editorial meetings or whatever meetings, or we say quarterly or every half a year, we are going to have a training or talk. We are going to reduce some of these instances. You're saying a lady may come in and is the one who is demanding a hug. How come since tuliingia hapa, we are not asking for hugs from each other? What I'm going to say is this. Let me finish what I am saying. Culture determines how a place works. Because how comes it's not all offices where we're having a lot of hugs? So whatever culture you allow to thrive in your institution, it's going to determine a lot of things. And if we don't curb it, especially now the people who are here, because we say the perpetrators are here. Hatuwezi sema hawa wako huko nje ndio wanafanyanga, hawa wako na huko ndio wanafanyanga, sisi wenye tuko hapa hatufanyangi. So if ladies, if you're going to a man and insisting on a hug, and he said, apana, mimi salamu natakanga za mkono, you ask yourself, what is this we are communicating? It's a very, as Maina has raised the issue of being called a very sexualized career. I would say there's a lot. One, we cannot call it victim blaming by say there's a lot with how we carry ourselves, but let our no be our no. Let us promote the culture of calling out things kindly. If a joke is made, I'm not going to give a joke here that was made in an office where we sit, and when you call out the joke, oh, hawa ni wale wamama wa kutetea feminism. I'm not going to call it, but call out these things. Let them not be shameful. Let there be clear guidelines when there's going to be promotions. Let there be mentorship programs. Ladies who are seated, ladies or gender, okay, both of us who are seated, especially in managerial roles or in higher roles, call out these things. Promote clear communications and open, diverse communications. And we're going to solve a lot of these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Koi.
So I'd start with the question about what FIDA does for men. I'll just narrow it down to that. See, we are donor funded. So when you're donor funded, you have to say exactly what you want to do, how you're going to do it. So if a person gives you a sponsorship and tells you, I'm going to give you this certain amount, how are you going to use it? You say this. So it's the money that we receive is for serving women, but it's not that we do not serve men. We do serve men. We do advise them. The only thing we do not do is take them to court. We do not, yes, advance their cases in court. But that does not mean that we cannot refer you to an organization that can do that. We can refer you to Haki Yetu, Kituo cha Sheria, any other that we work with. The counseling services, the advising, we can do that for you. But for the ones that are going to be very cost incentive, then it's going to be an issue. Okay, so that's the first one. And about the policy, our station manager started by saying that he believes. we cannot believe, we have to know whether it is there or not. And as long as an office has at least 20 people, if you have 20 people, you have to make sure you have that policy. And it's not just to have that policy. You're supposed to have that policy. You have to supposed to implement that policy. You have to check if the policy is working. You have to revise that policy. You just don't say we have a policy and it is shelved in somewhere. It should be displayed. Because I believe if it was somewhere that it is displayed, he wouldn't be saying that he believes it is there, because he would be sure that it is. Also about the word of mouth. I believe if we were attentive enough, we'd have been able to realize that I said the word of mouth backed up with medical evidence. Yes. Exactly. So we have two types of cases. It's either a civil case or a criminal case. So for a civil case, it's on a balance of probabilities, okay? You said this, you got into a contract, this happened. But for a criminal case, which sexual harassment issues mainly fall there, unless it's an employment-related issue or anything. But if it's a criminal case, you just don't go and report today and they take the person and they take the person to court tomorrow. No. A lot of investigations have to be done. When you go to report to the police station, that is not when the case starts. That is when your report is noted down. That is when the investigations begin. So when you open a police file, it has a number of subfiles, from subfile A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I to J. And each file has different information. That information, summed up, is going to say if you have a case or no. Okay, so let me say subfile A, for example, it has the report, the OB report, when the incident was reported, how it was, and then we have B, we have now the evidence that was collected, let's say photographs, and then C, we have the reports of the experts explaining that particular, and then that particular scenario, how it had occurred, it might have occurred because no one is usually there. And then we have D, whereby you're allowed to give your statement, okay? And then you have E, we have the accused person's statement, okay? And then we have F, which is the investigation diary. We have H, we have the witness statements. And then we have I, which is the investigations report. And then we have J, which are the minutes of the correspondences between those officers to ensure that that crime was actually committed. So all that combined does not say that you are guilty, okay? That says that here, there could be something that needs solving. Who makes the decision to charge? It is not the police. It is the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. So the file is taken to the Office of the Director of Prosecution, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. And this one does not charge. What does he do? He makes the decision. Based on this evidence that I have, what is this? This is rape. Rape, elements, penetration, use of force. From this report, from this medical report, from this, does it show that there was force used? Was there penetration? Okay. So yes, we're going to charge this person. So then you go to court. After, even when they think that everything is in order, the court has the right, you have the right to be presumed innocent until you're proven guilty in a court of law. Okay, we have the whole of Article 50 of fair hearing there that is going to be applied. So huwezi kusema polisi amekuonea, investigating officer amekuonea, ODPP yote ofisi nzima imekuonea, court umeenda pia umeonewa. Kule pia they don't start by charging you, they start with the prosecution. Wanasikiza prosecution, wakifika mahali wanasema they make a ruling. Is there a case to answer? Tukiangalia hii kuna case to answer. Yes, there is. Then there is a case to answer. Then the case as proceeds. That's how you put up your defense, you explain yourself. So you cannot tell me who amesema hivi alafu sasa umefika mpaka umepelekwa just because this person said this.
Okay.
It does
Thank you so much, Kui. And there's another question.
Yes. Someone said about how are we going to know about spanking? So if someone was spanked or anything. So for that, for a crime to have taken place, you have two elements of a crime. We have the mens rea, we have the actus reus. So if there is a reason, that is the guilty mind now, the mens rea, that this person kawaida huyu amchukulia huyu mtu hivi na nini, and the actus reus now will be the spanking. So if they prove that there was mens rea, in that you have the guilty mind, or you've said something in that line, and then there's the spanking, then there's a crime. Okay. Yes, and about West Pokot, we have a toll-free number you can call from any side of the world, and we have a feeder members community with almost, I think, 800 advocates who are stationed at different places. You make one call from West Pokot, we'll link you with one advocate at West Pokot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kui and Yusra. It was nice having you around. And asanteni sana kwa kutusikiliza. Poleni maswali yenu hatungeweza kuyajibu yote. Inshallah Mwenyezi Mungu akitujalia tutakutana wakati mwingine. Kwaherini.
Tuwapigie makofi. Please remain there for a photo. Yes. I am sure hii conversation, it's a conversation that can't end. It needs a whole day kwa beach, bila camera, for people to share and speak out. Because these are very sensitive issues. Access to justice is human rights. Na najua sahizi kila mtu akisign contract ya kazi iko na code of conduct, si ndio? Na najua policy ya sexual harassment inakuanga hapo. Iko ama yuko? Iko, because it is required. But the problem is, even the person that you're going to report to, how is the reporting mechanism? Your station manager ndo ana receive the complaints and he's the perpetrator. You're told to write an email. Who's the holder of the email? So in the next conversation, you have something.
So you can use the internal mechanisms that are there, but in the event that they're not working, you can use external mechanisms as well. You can come report at an organization and we'll follow it up for you.
So the conversation that we've had in this next other very short, and I promise you, I am not a politician, but it's sanile ukweli. It is very short. It is also interlinked with advocating for human rights and freedom. And we'll be hearing from now men in the space, speaking about it, and how we as journalists can be part of this conversation. I'd like you to help me give a round of applause to Annette, who will be moderating this session with amazing gentlemen who advocate for human rights and freedom of people in the communities. Wapi makofi yake? Tusimpige hii table hii hapa. Yani munanyima Annette makofi nyinyi. Nimewamark. All right, Annette, karibu sana, and let's wind up the session.
Thank you so much. I'd like just to, without belaboring, help me welcome to stage Anami Daudi. Welcome. From Mukuru Community Justice Center, help me welcome to the stage Ken Ogembo, Programs Manager from Theatre Place. And then last but not least, help me welcome Caroline Mwatu from Article 19. We'll try and make it short and sweet. You can give me the other mic, please. Please start by introducing yourselves, what you do, and the organizations that you work for, and what it is that you carry out on a daily basis.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caroline Mwatu. I serve as the administrative officer at Article 19 Eastern Africa. So Article 19 Eastern Africa is the regional office of the global Article 19, a network that works in over 40 countries. So our key mandate is to protect and to promote freedom of expression, access to information, press freedom, and digital rights.
Yeah, Jenny.
Wow.
Oza. My name is Anami Daudi Ture. I coordinate Mukuru Community Justice Center, which is a community-based human rights organization based in Nairobi. I'm also a community organizer, movement builder. What I do a lot of things. Particularly, I'm a human rights defender. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Habari zenu.
Salama.
So I'm Ken Ogembo. I work for Theatre Place. We are based in Nairobi, but work across 17 counties in Kenya. So Theatre Place mainly focus on working towards youth living a dignified life, and we think that politics is the determinant. So we invest so much in youth understanding and participating in political processes. Thank you.
Just before you pass over the mic,
Yep.
I'd like to understand, who is a civil society? Is it everybody? Is it who's that?
Civil society is anything that is not government.
Oh.
And the main intention is not to make, not for profit. So anything that, for example, a burial committee can be a civil society because they are looking up at giving a decent send-off. And because their intention is not to make profit, and also probably to contribute a little bit of resources from other people and give to the family, then they can be categorized as civil society. This does not require that you have to be registered. So a civil society does not have to be registered. It's the intention that matters.
Oh, that's good to know. I've always thought it's Boniface Mwangi and the likes that form that community. Looks like all of us are part of civil society.
Yeah, and don't be surprised. Even some of the people that you think are civil society are entrepreneurs.
Interesting. Just don't pass the mic. My first question to you is, understanding the current landscape, how would each of you describe, or how would you describe the current state of human rights and civic freedoms in Kenya, and especially at the community level? How would you describe where we are?
So hii mambo imechemka. So the state of human rights, I think there are a lot of things happening. which for me, I work with different movements that we document human rights violations within different communities across the country. We have seen the rise of human rights violations happening within different communities. We have seen bloggers, journalists, human rights defenders being targeted by the state. Some, like for example, the case of Albert Ojwang, who was a blogger. He died at Central Police Station. And we have also observed there are like similar cases where even a tweet can make you just to be arrested or maybe to be killed, maybe be found in a river, maybe be abducted, maybe disappear. So there are a lot of issues happening. And then we have seen also women, also girls being targeted on the streets when they are protesting. Like for example, during Sabasaba and also June 25th, there are women who are raped on the street. And these, particularly also journalists are being also targeted within different categories. But what we've seen, we haven't seen state responding and also maybe arresting perpetrators or maybe investigating the deaths, taking action against such atrocities, which next year, but when we are heading to elections, which we have seen also goons being introduced. They attack journalists, they attack human rights defenders, they attack anyone, which there's no accountability.
So I feel like you're saying it's not getting better.
Yeah, it's not getting better.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. And just to Carol, from that note, there has been concerns about the shrinking civil space. Yeah. What are the most pressing threats you are seeing, and how can communities effectively push back? What threats are there, and how can we push back?
I think the first threat will be shrinking funding, especially on matters civil and political rights. Because recently we've had elections in Tanzania. Yeah. We've seen journalists coming to Kenya for safety reasons and HRDs. But there is no, us as a civil society, we may want to give them that protection, but we lack the funding to do so. Because donors, you saw what President Ruto did. When you call out these donors, they shy away from funding us. And we are donor dependent. And when donors don't fund what we do, we are not able to protect journalists and HRDs. And also, if you do an analysis of the operating environment right now, you've seen Museveni openly declaring that he abducted Bob Njagi. You've seen Suluhu. And we'll be having elections in Uganda, then Kenya in 2027. So things are getting more worse. And it's like the presidents of this region, they're working together to violate these rights.
And maybe we can pass the mic over to Ken. How can communities push back effectively? How can we push back?
I think some of the things that we need to think of as communities is first to understand what it meant to be to a right. And I know I can ask into this audience and ask what is a right, and people are going to struggle to explain. Yeah. Simply because sometimes people do not understand that they have a right to something. A good example is you go into a school where they are preschool, kindergarten, and the school does not have a toilet. And because this local community, probably my father, went to that school and they didn't have a toilet, then now he gave birth to me. I went to that school, but there was no toilet. Now I give birth to my child, they go to that school and it looks like normal. So first, people do not understand. Second, when people do not understand, how we explain to them about their right also becomes a problem. It's now that journalists are in the room, they give one side of the story that it is bad. Okay, how does my father understand that it is bad that a school does not have a toilet? Because if anything, they also went through that school, but Ken is successful. You see? So they are telling you if you walk barefooted, there's no harm in walking. So people do not understand. So a lot more public education needs to go in a way that people are able to understand, and they need to understand it from a local perspective. For example, if you go into a school, the local community needs to understand what they are entitled to and what they must get. The number two is they also need to understand the offices that are responsible and hold them accountable. For example, if there is no toilet in the school, I know who do we need to hold responsible? We know the board. But do we also understand that there is probably sub-county or county director of who is responsible in government? And to what extent do we need to hold them accountable? And then number three is also the aspect of funding, because in our way of thinking as Siasa Place, we say there's a problem because of either three things. One is it was not communicated and therefore it was not factored into the budget. So it is not there. Two, it was stolen. So it was budgeted for, but somebody somewhere, or that toilet is in somebody's pocket. And the journalist needs to go and look for that person and that pocket. And then third, there is incompetency in the office holder. So you have the money is sitting in some account, it's not been withdrawn, it's not been eaten, it's not stolen, but it's just there. These are the people who goes into the offices, leave their coat, go do their businesses, and they don't care. So what needs to happen is these three things we need to educate the public. They need to participate in public participation processes where they are able to prioritize and say this and this is what we require. And then we need to hold people who are in office accountable. Then we'll be able to deliver services and people will live a dignified life. Thank you.
I like that. And I think for us, what's relevant to us from the community is the education part. I think we are a very powerful tool of educating the masses. And now to Anami, I want to ask you, from the community aspect, from the community perspective, and community justice centers, what practical approaches have worked and the ones that prove effective, in empowering residents to demand accountability and justice? What has worked?
One, I think there are a lot of strategies. For example, here in Kenya, protest is one of the most effective way of public participation.
Okay.
But you can't. But you can't protest against everything. So there are other things that, for example, when Ken was saying about something about the toilet, people can protest, then they'll get the toilet. But there are other formations that we need also to engage policymakers, or maybe duty bearers, maybe the stakeholders around the community.
Yes.
But one of the best approach is building power. And how do we build power? Building a collective within different communities, just to make sure that people participate effectively in terms of demanding accountability. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. And this question, I'd like Carol to take, and then any one of you who has an addition. Is there a time, or is it ever possible for the civil society and the government or the state to have we like call it a civil working relationship? Is it possible for them to have a constructive engagement with government that actually bears fruit?
It's very possible, though it depends. And these are just my personal statement. The government is the biggest violators of these rights. So at times we may sit with them on the table and talk about issues, but there are other times we have to take them to the court or use other avenues to put pressure on them. So we engage with them, but it really depends.
Yeah. What's your take, Ken?
I think it's a narrative or presented that government and civil society cannot be on the same table. They can be, but it is not a must. So the civil society has to be with government on the table when we are discussing, but when we do not agree with what they say, we have to differ. So it's just like the irony that, have you ever seen watchman being given the key to the store? Who has ever seen a watchman being given a key to the store? So if you've never seen, I have never seen. So the moment you realize that government and the civil society are always reading from the same script, there is a problem. But I also wanted to add on the question that Ture spoke about in terms of some of the strategies that are able to work. I think for Siasa Place, one of the things that has worked is called the use of leveraging on use of technology, social media. And sometimes some of the people who probably are following what we do, we came up with some small thing called the social monitoring tool. Okay, in the office we call it wall of fame and wall of shame. So what happens is we educate the public, and if they see anything wrong happening, they'll just take a photo and shame the office. And because of that alone, I think last year alone, around 26 schools built toilet, because we were just saying, look at how the toilet looks like. And 26 schools were able to build toilet just because they were shamed. So use of social media is very key. Number two, what has also worked for us, and I think it's also working for Kinature, is we've been working a lot with local organizations. So local organizations is whether CBOs, women group, and these are the points where they are educated and then they are able to follow through. So we call them advocacy follow-up, such that they are able to go to specific offices, ask the people who are in those offices to take action on specific things. And if you look at the level of response is quite good. So the moment government realizes that the public are aware of what's happening, they tend to respond because they never want the government to look bad. So if we are able to have people go into these offices and demand that they get services, you'll realize that government, although sometimes it's also risky because you are going to demand for money that somebody had already eaten, but they can't actually trace where it is.
Fabulous. And as my last question to you is, there was a time we had Sabasaba protests, and I think I spotted you somewhere on the streets, and you were being harassed by some police officers. And my question is about the rights and the safety of human right the safety of human rights defenders. So is it when we've seen with Gen Zs, I wake up one day, I'm passionate about something, and I just start talking, I start posting, I start doing what I can and being as vocal as I can before somebody goes that big. What's your advice for them in terms of ensuring that they can account for their own safety? What should they know? Where should they look? Yeah, and where should they belong?
One, I think we have the Bible, the Quran of Kenya, which is the 2010 Constitution. And mostly when you talk about this issue, the lawyers and even judges, they mainly they refer to Article 37 of the Constitution, which for me, I don't rely on Article 37 of Constitution, and also majority of Kenyans, because what we rely on, which is Article 1 of the Constitution. Article 37, it has limitations, because we also have Public Order Act, which regulates protest. But Article 1, which is all sovereign power belongs to the people, it doesn't have any regulation, followed by Article 2 and 3. So right to protest is guaranteed in our Constitution, because police and all security apparatus, they have that mandate to protect each and every citizen who's protesting. Because right to protest, it doesn't mean you also need to notify the police. Always need to notify the police about the route and everything, because it's guaranteed within the Constitution. For example, in a community like Mathare, people, when they don't get or maybe access water, they normally just organize a protest, a street protest, without even writing any notification or maybe informing even the police officers. And then they get back water. The water gets back into their taps. So there are such articles within the Constitution that protects right to protest. Yeah, and for protection mechanism, we have, like for example, a collective of different individuals that we normally work together with. Whenever you are at risk, they'll also inform you. So you can't protest alone. Yeah. Of course, we only people normally say like Julius Kamau protest alone. They normally refer that Julius Kamau protest alone. But if you go behind the scenes, before Julius Kamau goes to Parliament, he has a team that he has notified that, I'm going to protest at Parliament. I've seen President is going to issue State of the Nation, and for me, I want to go there. So he has people that he has already notified, which are also behind him and also supporting him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And for Caroline, as we close and open up, maybe just 2 questions, and then we call it a day. What's your vision for the future? What would you like to tell the journalists here? How can they participate in being advocates of human rights? And what balance can they try to achieve to still remain objective, but still play the role of advocacy?
The vision that we have as Article 19 is to create an environment where everyone can openly and freely express themselves and participate in public debate without fear. For journalists, I feel like right now the press freedom is under threat. There are so many challenges that they face, and as they try to hold power into account and report on these issues, I just want them maybe to prioritize their safety, because you've seen like that blogger from Meru. Maybe you're working at the grassroots, you want to expose corruption that is happening at the grassroots level. Just make sure you prioritize your safety, because it's no longer safe out there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions from the audience? We have one there. We have one there. Okay.
Mko poa. Watu wako hapo mbele kwanza ni mashujaa, tuanze hapo. Mashujaa wamepigania nchi sana. Swali yangu ni kama civil society mmechukua measure gani kujua hawa journalist wetu wako safe during our election? Juu election yetu itakuwa noma. Unajua president wetu ni mtu wa create problem akijifanya ana solve. Hiyo ndo kitu ya kwanza. Swali ya pili, swali ya pili, hii nini anatumia ya kulete kunyima youth kazi na anaweka kwa ugunism. Tutafaita hiyo juu hiyo ni system pia imeletwa. Si kama hivyo.
Manze Jo, hiyo point imeingia. The other question was
how are you working closely with the community to ensure that they are aware of their vile mmesema, the way the guy from Siasa Place, he said that people don't understand what their rights are. So how do you explain to a local citizen, maybe a Mama Mboga in Rift Valley or in Mukuru kwa Ruben or in places that we come from, their right in the most simplest way that they can enact wherever they are faced or they find themselves in a situation where they have to be aware? Or how do you engage with them, and what can we better it to reach like a wider audience?
respond to the two questions.
So as a civil society, we have a protection working group committee that comprises of 21 organizations. So we do meet regularly and just analyze the operating context for HRDs and journalists. And each organization has its own strengths. So as Article 19, maybe we have funding on maybe litigation. Yeah. Maybe if there's a journalist who has been sued, that is where maybe we can come in. Maybe amnesty, they can maybe fundraise for people who were arrested when they were protesting. So we have a committee and we do just leverage on our strength. The other question was on...
Yes, on the government. Maybe your colleagues can help.
I'll talk about the goons. There's no dignity in poverty, and poverty is one of the worst form of violence that someone can experience. But we have seen the state using particularly young people from poor neighborhoods across the country, recruiting them to disrupt protests, to attack progressive forces, anyone trying to preach about change. For this, like for us, Mukuru Community Justice Center, we've been working with young people who are hard to reach. When I talk about hard to reach, kuna wale mavijana huko mtaani mnaonanga tu wanasemanga vijana si watu tunaweza engage, ni wale wanaibia wasee, si ndio? Tunajua hizo story. So we also need to engage these young people who are at crime, wale wenye wako kwa crime, wale wanatumia madre. And for us, it has worked. We worked also with Siasa Place like 2 years ago. We had a program and we talked to them. We taught them about civic education, about constitutionalism, and they formed a group, a CBO, which we mentored them and also we supported them with something. Now they have 3 businesses. They have 3 businesses that they are operating, which is actually helping a lot of them who are actually in crime. So that's one of the methodology that we can use in terms of reforming young people and also talking to them about these issues. Then the other question was about community sensitization. For this, we've been doing community dialogues within the community, which the last dialogue actually we had was in Mukuru kwa Ruben, and actually it was live on radio, Ruben FM, and we also engage masses within the community to talk about their rights and their issues. And that's actually one of them. We also use social media. They can just say. We also use theater. the traveling theater. We go to a street, then perform a skit, then engage community about their rights and different issues that are affecting them within the community.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I think when it comes to, it is not the responsibility of the CSO to assure your security. Hello? I'm just making it clear. It is not the responsibility of the CSO to ensure your security and safety. It is the responsibility of the government. And therefore, kindly demand it from government. I know sometimes there have been a lot of expectations that CSO will protect you. They don't have guns. It's the government that we pay tax and they have guns. However, I would also like to also encourage us as the media to do three major things. Number one is to always ensure that whatever you do, there is some level of accuracy. And accuracy must be in two fronts. One is of the data that you are releasing and the relevancy. For example, you cannot accuse a school on something that is health related. So you need to know even where it is directed. So that's number one thing. Number two, the information, what we are doing, you need to have the community backing because you are representing the voice of the community.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I know we, like Siasa Place, we work with a lot of young youth organizations across the country. And one of the major problem I have seen is some people trying to use that platform to leverage and get job in government. So they would always be so prominent and trying to show they are mighty. So you also need to know to what extent you can go, but also why can't you also adopt collaboration? There are points where other people can also come in. So understand where you are. Then number two, you have to be accurate. And then number three, you must always confirm that whatever you are saying is true.
Yeah.
Why? In the event that you are to be accused,
Yes.
you are to be taken to court, then the NGO can come and say, we can confirm that this thing is accurate.
Yeah.
Number two on the question is I'm a bit catchy with the issue of hooliganism because it is also a job for some people. So there's nothing for free. So if you've worked with them, I have worked with some of them. Okay, I know some of them I have not worked with. And some of them are well paid than us. So yes, it's risky, but that is the path that they've taken. So some of the things that we can do is just to let them know how much the risk that they are taking. So they are our brothers, they are our sisters.
Yeah.
Please, if you know one, please speak to them. I know a few have spoken to them, and that's the best that I can do.
Okay.
And then finally, how do you explain the rights in a simple way that people are able to understand? I think that is what I started with by saying, I know journalists and mostly NGO would tend to get lost into jargons. How do we educate people, especially something on right? It's as simple as telling them when you go to the health facility in a hospital, you must be given a drug. And if you are not given a drug, you must complain. And how do you complain? Where do you complain? To whom do you complain to? And how do you do it? So this is what a lot more of civil society are doing. Like Ture said, we are able to always create these platforms where young people can always come. They get to understand these things. But also when you speak to them, tell them to stop asking us for money. So we also don't have money. So when they come, and at least they learn that health is a right, they can go and demand for it. And they will be treated for free or at a cost that government has prescribed.
Okay.
And then they don't have to go to a private hospital and treat malaria at 6,000 instead of 10 shillings or 20 shillings for the. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please let's give a round of applause to our panelists. Thank you so much for your insight, for your input, and thank you also for your attention. Maybe we can stand. All of us, please, let's stand. Let's stand. Just a minute as we take a photo together. Stretch. Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you so much. Clap for them again as they go to seat.
Yeah. Are you ready? Are you?
All right. It's been a fabulous day too, Cindy. I want us to to clap for ourselves, and then we break for tea and go home. Sawa sawa. So for ourselves for participating. Tujipe snap, jipe star, jipe clap. Hii meribu ni ta. Jipe clap, jipe snap, jipe stamp, jipe clap. Fantastic. Thank you so much. God bless you. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m. You can have tea. The bus is already outside, so 15 minutes and then you go to the bus. Yeah? Meshiba. Mnasikia meshiba? Mtaku swim. You can have tea, and then those of us who want to go, the bus is available. If you want to still engage in other activities, you're free to do so.